welcome back to the Storm Review. My name is Storm. Glad to have you guys back. It's funny, I really did not expect my first video to take off as much as it did about Pocket Summoner, but especially because I was using my iPhone headphones as the microphone in a hotel, so sorry about that audio quality, but since my first video about that kind of sparked some interest and kind of even created this new community on Discord and Reddit, you guys can see those links in the comments. I wanted to go ahead and do kind of a podcast style about Pocket Summoner, my experience, what was good, the bad, the ugly, all the things that I kind of touched on in the last video, but kind of in a more just casual format, so you guys can just kind of sit and listen to this in a podcast style. So kind of want to jump in. Pocket Summoner was such a big part of my life. I played Pocket Summoner from the time I would have been a sophomore in high school until the point I went to college. It was a very long time period. I mean, it's funny how the game grew. Everybody grew along with it. Everybody had their own story. Everybody had their own lives going on as this happened. But this one unifying thing was the game, was Pocket Summoner. And I think a lot of people just didn't understand that it wasn't really the game that made the people come back. It was the community. And that's something that we've been rediscovering lately. Been finding new friends, old friends, and even outsiders that didn't play Pocket Summoner but had heard about it, coming back into this community. And it was just this phenomenon because there was Palringo, there was the chat in the game, there was other communities elsewhere online that these people had created for this game. And I mean, it's not like Pocket Summoner was this huge viral game. I mean, I think the average was about 25 to 30,000 players, at least in terms of accounts. I mean, people had multiple accounts, but it's just crazy to me that people maintain these friendships over years. And some of my best friends were from Pocket Summoner, and that we all have these fond memories. I mean, that's how you guys found me in the first place, right? I mean, it's not like my channel is this huge mega account that you just fell across. I mean, you guys were searching for Pocket Summoner, and I want to make this a more consistent format. I want to get you guys involved. I want people to be able to come into this community and find that magic again, because I feel like that's something that people are craving. I mean, it's that nostalgia. We want that sense of community. We want people to come through and be part of our lives and have this game that we can all center ourselves around and scratch that itch, be able to be there and really just experience online gaming in a format that it should be experienced in, right? And I'm not saying that Pocket Summoner was without flaws, because it definitely had some, both in the game and in the community. There's this reminds me of a story about a player called T-Monster. Some of you may remember T-Monster, and T-Monster, if you're listening, good on you, man. I hope life has treated you well, but at the time you were a bit of a pain, my friend, I'm not gonna lie. When you came through and you had started taking over people's accounts and really just trolling the entire Pocket Summoner community, I think you guys had also used some jailbreaks to put T-Monster's face on a couple different monsters, and that was something else. I mean, to see an entire community just revolve around this one player and kind of take up arms against him, that was something else. I think he went by Teemo for a while too. Just crazy, stupid, small things that I remember about the game. But going into it, the quest line, really with this game, it was mediocre at best. I'm not gonna lie. There's really two actual characters, three if you count the main one from the logo. I mean, you had your main Pocket Summoner, you had the Dark Summoner, and you had Dr. X. Those are really your three characters, unless you count any of the dragons that pop up and have storylines. But I mean, however much you want to credit that for, I mean, those were clan shop locked quests, which made things a little bit difficult because even new players couldn't get those right away unless you wanted to pay money later on down the line. But it was just lacking. I mean, they definitely took copy-paste and hit it hard. I mean, there was little to no dialogue. The quests were kind of just there. I mean, they were just there for their grind. You weren't really sold into the story. You weren't sold into the fact. You weren't waiting for more. You weren't begging to get to the next quest line unless it was going to provide you more experience, because that's all it was good for. And that's something that they really should have gone on and done more with, but it's just it's one of those things that they didn't take the time. They didn't really revamp anything. And I mean, when they did put out a new update, it was the Beast Plains, and the Beast Plains was, you want to talk about an utter mess of an update. Just being able to see people go from level 48 to level 112 before they had to go ahead and patch it because and set everybody's levels back because they didn't know that it was going to be such this incremental thing. This was supposed to be their end-all be-all. The continuous quest was what they were going for. It was supposed to be almost... Their algorithm was off. It was their early version of a quote-unquote AI for the game that basically would have let you quest forever and still be able to gain moderate EXP for your level. But because of, imprints and abilities using the endurance counter strategy, people just abused the living hell out of that system and just quadrupled levels overnight. And I remember Rita just freaking out, having to revert everybody back, sending this long apology message, and people were furious. I mean, being able to get up to that level, I think they attempted to put everybody's coins back. I'm sure they didn't get everybody's, but it was just funny that they were trying to make this one thing that was going to be this is your forever area, have fun, these are the monsters you're stuck with. Like, it's just not a viable format. I mean, it would have been something that you grind. Now, could have they made an area like that specifically for grinding? Sure, but should have they continued the storyline and actually given us an answer there? No. They didn't. They went ahead, they started making Pocket Summoner Origins, which was an entirely different game. I mean, it's not even like... It uses the same monsters, it uses the same premise, but the game format was entirely different, and it's just like, we weren't asking for an origin story, we wanted part 2. Because they made this app called Pocket Summoners, The Dark Dragon or something like that, episode 1. And it was like, okay, we got more coming. But, between Little Masters, Pocket Summoner Origins, and Pocket Summoner, I think they just shot themselves in the feet too many times, and they just couldn't get back up from that. So that story just kind of died there and kind of left us all wanting a little bit more. But given that the story was so mediocre, it kind of pushed everybody to Clans. And Clans, in my opinion, was a great update. It really built out the community. It gave everybody a sense of home, giving everybody a team, giving everybody this place that they could really rally around their own people, and kind of, for lack of better words, it was basically like making your own little cliques. Like, you'd still have friends, inner clans, and that was the point. But it was like these little pockets, these little cliques that you could be in and really just enjoy. And I know that infuriated some people because the concept of clans was to steal from each other, and that was not exactly something that people enjoyed or appreciated or wanted all the time. And that is something that they needed to have grown. Clans kind of stayed stagnant. It was the same: steal from everybody, you level up, you get new clan shop items, whoever's in first basically gets these new overpowered guards, and it just screwed up the game. It really did. And I mean, the quest for being the best should always be there. Like, being competitive with other people should always be there. But the fact that you had to be competitive in a way that was truly just like, all right, rip everybody to the bottom. They made this like basically about politics. And that's something I kind of touched on in my last video, was that Pocket Summoner became this political community after this. I mean, people were forming alliances and having wars and actively searching people out and kicking people from clans, and it got super political super fast for what is ideally a children's game. And it really deterred some people from playing. And top clans had certain requirements. You were friends with X, Y, and Z, so they wouldn't steal from you because you thought that those were the heavy hitters. You didn't want them to attack you because it was a way basically to limit the bleeding. And by the end of it, people were just so tired. Who am I allied with this week? Who am I warring with? Who do I need to attack? Who do I need to find? And it became a chore, really, to play this game, because you had to make sure you were on like every 2 hours to go and redefend, because if you didn't, you were just wide open for 10 hours. You could only defend for, I think it was like 36 hours, or was it 25 hours? Something like that. It was just a little over a day if you only clicked it the once, which was not enough. But having these people come out and just really taking on roles was it was a beautiful thing and it was an ugly thing, because you saw leadership skills being developed in these people, being able to organize all these people, being able to share strategy, and kind of almost be in a war room with these people. I mean, it was just truly phenomenal to see some of these colors come out of people, but it was also just this toxic area to be in. And Rita needed to introduce something like world bosses that you should have taken on, or like clan quest areas that you should take on, things that weren't just directly related to battling one another. I mean, battles were great. It built out this huge sense of competition and strategy and viability, and meta was always changing. And then by the end of it, Clan Shop was basically just like, all right, use the new stuff. It's going to basically break the other OP thing that we just made, and no one else has it yet, so go for it. And then it would just keep piling on and on and on until it just wasn't fun anymore. Because when you had two teams that rolled the entire meta, no one wants to play anymore, because it's all about just getting to that team set. And that's why, like, when they implemented imprints and items and the abilities, it became this hot mess. It did give a ton of other options, but they didn't truly test out what some of these things were going to do to the entire balance of the game, and that's something that they really needed to have hit home on. But on top of just, this whole mosh pit of things that they had going on with, no story and, kind of guilds, clans that just didn't really make sense, they did have a well-functioning messaging app, which I think saved it for the most part for all those years. If you think about it, it was one of the better messaging apps at the time. Like, if you didn't have a phone or a texting plan or any of that, this was a perfect way to do it. I mean, even if you didn't enjoy the game and you just had friends that had like iPods and an internet connection, that was like one of the better ways to do it. I mean, you could have done Palringo, you could have done, I don't even know if like WhatsApp and all of those other messaging apps were up at that point, but just it was a solid messaging app at the time, but it was something that didn't keep up with the times. So it was just decrepit. It became this thing that was broken towards the end. I mean, it wouldn't fit certain size devices, nothing got updated. Everything was stuck in 2012. And, that would have been fine for a while, but 5 years ended up being a long time. I don't even know if it was 5 years at that point. I think they shut down in, I think it was May of 2017 probably. I would have to look that up, but just being able to see that they shut down finally because they wouldn't put up an update. The App Store made it so that 32-bit apps weren't going to work anymore. Had to upgrade to 64, and that's when they just decided to shut up shop. I mean, they did everything they could to suck out every last penny from you guys as possible. Making all the Clan Shop items up to the one behind, purchasable with coins, was genius on their part. Did it suck for players? Absolutely. I mean, that became just such a kick to the balls. I mean, for lack of better words, it's just an absolute kick to the nuts. Watching people buy what you had essentially worked so hard to get. It wasn't like just having VIP. I mean, VIP was great. Being able to have the cooldown times, double the XP, all that other good stuff. I mean, it was just, in my opinion, it was one of the better ways to do like a paid app. I mean, having items that were purchasable, being able to do refills on your cooldown was really one of the better ways to do it, in my opinion, just because it doesn't become really pay to win at that point, because it's just time at that point. You're paying to not waste time. And I thought that was just brilliant, because really, some people would blow through all of their energy and their stamina, and then they'd wait. And then after it would refill, then they would start going again. Other people would go ahead and just coin grind. So basically they'd blow through both, coin to refresh, blow through both again. And just, it became this constant grind, which was super cool to see, because it wasn't something people really got bored with, at least in the early days. And, I've been kind of scratching that itch lately. I've been wanting something like it, and I can't find anything currently that's like it. So, this Discord community we're in is starting to put together some mock-ups and kind of go through some ideas and things that we really enjoy about mobile gaming. and how we would go about doing that. But I know that there's a lot of you out there that just have this need. I mean, I saw some comments on my last video that it's just like, man, thank you for this. I've been thinking about this recently. I wish this was still up so I could play it. I mean, come join us in our community. We play a ton of different games online. We talk about how we would do a mobile app. We're starting to throw in some mock-ups of things that we would do. I mean, just come swing by if you're interested. I mean, no need to, but just if you're curious, you want to see what's going on, just pop in. Don't have to say a word. That's totally fine. We are here just to restart a community, restart this fire, because it's something we loved. It was something we were passionate about, and we know that there is such a strong fan base that there are more of you out there like us, and we would love to meet you. If you guys want, just pop by my channel, pop by the Discord, pop by the Reddit, like wherever you want to just pop by. I will be on any of them. Feel free to leave comments, hit a like button, subscribe if you want more, because I'm going to start doing this on a more consistent basis now, because I just love it. I want to talk about these features in depth. I want to talk about the lore. I want to talk about each monster. Like, tell me what you guys want to see, and I will make videos on it. But for this time, my name is Storm. I appreciate you guys stopping by. This was the first episode of my unofficial Pocket Summoner podcast, hoping that I can eventually get some special guests to come on and kind of cameo. But yeah, let me know what you guys like to see below, and have a good day.